And we back after a long ass hiatus with another episode of Spurs Roundup, for what will be the Keldon Johnson installment, aka episode 3. We were gone for a long time after, because of our Arizona trip that you'll be seeing on the channel in the weeks to come, right before the 2-week Thanksgiving festivities, consisting mine and Emily's 1-year dating anniversary and whatever Thanksgiving activities my family's got cooking, whether it's my mom's side of the family with involving my grandfather's sister or the Oliverases. So I'll have to look, find out and see what's going on, check with both my parents. So, and whatever is going on, I will immediately pass it along to all of you, like always, and we'll go from there. And whatever is confirmed that I'll be doing for Thanksgiving, I will be giving it to you guys here on YouTube and bringing you guys along for the ride. But anyway, we've had a long break because of our Arizona trip, and we have a lot to catch up on with the games that went by after, the last game on TV against the Heat. So let's do a brief, a little quick, what rundown before we go over the game that just happened tonight in San Antonio against the Pelicans. So eat shit, Joel Myers and Antonio Daniels. All right, that game against the Heat could have gone either way, considering the Heat could have, overtaken us and won, but this Spurs team has proven that they're nowhere near the level of the Spurs teams of the previous 6 seasons. They figured out how to play basketball when it mattered most and held on to the semi-huge lead and got the win right before I left Arizona the next morning. So good shit, Spurs. Jesus Christ, I don't even want to talk about this one. You already know what the fuck happened here. This one we could have won, but it was an absolute foul fest, and of course, 3 of our good players fouling out, along with 2 missed clutch free throws to possibly send the game to overtime, didn't do us any favors. All in all, we totally gave this one away. Absolutely unacceptable. This one belonged to you, Ashley, or go to Torres. And the most recent one, we started off slow in this one, but we picked up the pace and we finished it strong, just like the old Spurs way, even with the big 3 of Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. In the words of Sochan himself, fuck Houston, aka the cheating McDouchebags. Now, the recap you've all been waiting for. Alex Trebek's death anniversary 5 years later, my San Antonio Spurs took on the New Orleans Pelicans with the bitch-ass Joel and Antonio announcers on their feed. But guess what? We didn't have to worry about those bozos tonight because the Gen Play got its shit together at the last minute, and it allowed us to listen to fucking Jacob and Sean, the best in the business. So anyway, enough with that banter. Where do we start? Well, it was pretty neck and neck for the most part in the beginning until the Spurs pulled out to a comfortable lead. But every time it seemed like we were going to blow this game wide open, the Pelicans would fight back and, just hang around. But we led as much as 19, but, even when the Pelicans just kept hanging in there, they could never get over the hump. Sure, they came close to tying it a few times, but they never could get over the hump, and we've been on the receiving end of that stick over the years, even with the big 3 with Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili, and even the post Duncan / big 3 era, we've played like that, where we hang around with other teams that have a semi-huge lead in us, whether it's in our house, the SBC Center, or their house, but could never get over the hump. And the other thing we're known for, because, it's nothing new, it's like people on Spurs Facebook is, getting their panties on or why, like it's a new thing. The Spurs have always been known to relax whenever they have big-ass leads. Just ask Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili themselves. Even when they were playing, they were always relaxed. The Spurs were always relaxing with big leads. Sometimes they would hang on. Sometimes they would bluxly, let go of the lead and then go on to lose. And even sometimes there have been times where they let go of the lead but find a way to get it back and win. It was like win, lose, or draw with them. But the post-Duncan Spurs, the last 6 years before this year, anytime they got too complacent and, whenever they had a big lead and just went into relaxation mode, they would blow it and then they would lose the game. These Spurs are nowhere near those Spurs of the last 6 miserable seasons we had. Whenever we've blown a big lead this year, guess what? Except for the one game against the Lakers a few nights ago, other than that game, every time we blow a big lead, guess what? We figure out how to play basketball when it matters most and manage to hang on to it and win. But the star of the show was the comeback kid, Swipe by the Fox. Not to be confused with the comeback kids of last year's Spurs team. Whenever we got ourselves in a big hole, we would dig ourselves out of it and then win or come close to winning, even after Wemby went down with the blood clot and, Fox had to get surgery on his finger. And shout out to Waters, who got some playing time time in the Kings and John Andretti's old number, the King Richard Petty. So therefore, Fox basically, if there was a clutch player of the year, unless it's already it exists, but if it doesn't exist already, De'Aaron Fox would be an easily a top 5 candidate for that, because literally he came in clutch and was the hero for us that saved the day for us good guys in the black and silver. But we'll get to that part momentarily. The Spurs had like a semi-big lead right here, and they just kept building on it, including this throwdown by Wembanyama, and they kept building on it, but then they took their foot off the gas a little bit close to quarter's end when the Pelicans were fighting to stay in it. And, they gave the Pelicans confidence going into the second half. But the Spurs made sure to come out of the gates, flying on all cylinders, no matter what the Pelicans did to, stay in the game. So Stephon Castle, Jesus, man. I knew he was going to be good when we drafted him in the last NBA draft, but I didn't know he was going to be this fucking good. So too bad he ended up fouling out, but that didn't matter. At least it was not a repeat of the previous game against the Lakers, where it was a foul fest with 3 other good players ended up fouling out, which cost us the game, and which we could have used them in a crucial game like that. If those 3 players, Wemby and whoever the other 2 fouled out, ended up fouling out and did not foul out, and Fox was playing, we easily win that game without a doubt. And Ashley Torres doesn't get to celebrate against my team, but I could have watched that one, but it was on a work night, and I hate West Coast games on work night. So if it's a West Coast late ass start, anytime past 9:30, the maximum, or I can just catch a Spurs game on a work night. If it's past 9:30, no thank you. If it's a non-work night, then that's a different story. The gloves are off, like it's a Friday night or a Saturday night. But if it's Sunday night through Thursday night, then absolutely not. But here, I wanted to leave this in just as a regular viewer. This Pelicans player right here, I don't remember who it is. He was good tonight. He unlit that long ball from the way downtown to end the third quarter. But of course, obviously, even though the Pelicans were really staying in the game, but they still couldn't get over the hump, and it just wasn't enough for them, as Area 51 struck 3 or 4 times tonight throughout the course of the game. And, here they are to a semi-huge lead again. Wemby from the old Bruce Bowen, Sean Elliott spot from three-point land. Bang, bang, Tito Puente, bang, bang. Let's see, what happened here? Keldon came in clutch tonight as an elite, offensive player with those, basically probably one of the best offensive rebounders in the league, I know, well, let's not go in that tangent. Here's young Devo going bang, bang, Tito Puente. I was going to compare him to another good offensive rebounder I knew, but it's from a team that I really don't like, so I don't want to mention them here. But here we go. Young Devo was feeling it like Regis Philbin. But the Pelicans just wouldn't go away. I mean, they were chipping into the lead into single digits, but luckily, unlike the previous 6 Spurs teams of the previous 6 seasons, we knew how to keep them at bay. Because if this was the Spurs team from the previous 6 seasons, we would have blown the lead to them. But this Spurs team would not be denied, all thanks to our clutch player of the game, Swipe on a Fox. Here's Wembanyama. Wait. Julian Champagny, bang, bang, Tito Puente. This man has been lighting it up like Lizzie Green for us lately, including the previous game versus the cheating McDouchebag, which was the first NBA Cup game for us. But here's Swipa, his dagger shot, and then the clutch free throws. That way the the secondary dagger. Wembanyama with the game-winning block, and that pretty much was all she wrote for the black and silver. And we just said bye Pelicans, bye bitch-ass Joel Myers and Antonio Daniels, you bozo-ass fucking shit, dog shit announcers who glazed over your fucking your fucking bitch-ass team in a sexual manner. So I'm glad we gave it to you tonight. So yeah. So Fox was not the only one to come back from an injury to start the season. He came out with the bang and tore that shit up like Terry Labonte in his first game back. So welcome back, Swipe of the Fox. Now stay healthy the balance of the season, please. But 3 other fellas in black and silver that were injured to start the season finally made their season debut the game before during the Laker game when we gave that one away. Sochan, Waters, and False Patty Mills made their season debuts. So therefore, we're finally getting closer to being a full-on healthy team again. And with False Patty Mills healthy, I hate to say it, as long as he and Kornet are healthy, that means my homeboy Bismack will be getting plenty more DNPs, unfortunately. Bismack is one of my favorite current Spurs players, but I'm choosing common sense over personal feelings. If we have a full healthy squad, I have a feeling Bismack is going to be the odd man out, getting moved below the depth chart beneath, Wembanyama, Kornet, and False Patty Mills. Same goes for my other homeboy, Jordan McLaughlin, when Harper returns from his injury. You're probably wondering, how the fuck did he get injured? Well, apparently he injured that calf in the second quarter of the Suns game that I was at during my Arizona trip, right before my dad and I rage quit at halftime with my phone dead, my dad's phone trying not to die, and it being fucking cold in America West Arena. So we said, fuck this, we're out. Luckily, he avoided major injuries, so his absence will not be long term. Like, it looks like it's going to be long term on paper when it says several weeks, but a calf strain is only 2 weeks. So as long as he doesn't rush back like, Tatum and Halliburton did, then he won't re-injure it as a ruptured Achilles to the point where it's really long term, to the point where we're going to be fucked again. It's going to be the last 6 seasons part 2, and we do not want that. And with how super young he is, especially as a rookie in San Antonio, his body should be able to recover quicker and faster than Halliburton's or Tatum's did, considering he's a hell of a lot younger than Tatum and Hallie were when they had their, calf/Achilles injuries. But I'll say it again, even as a Jordan McLaughlin fan, common sense over personal feelings. When this man is fully nursed back to health, with him and Fox back, I have this horrible feeling, realistically, sad but true, that McLaughlin, J-Mac, is going to get more DNPs, considering, there won't be enough room for him on the depth chart for him, Harper, and Fox and Castle to play together. So someone's going to have to get a DNP when, Harper, Fox, and Castle are playing full song. Same thing with our bigs when Kornet is fully nursed back to health, with, Wembanyama and Kornet and False Patty Mills all playing together at the same time. I have this horrible feeling that my homeboy Biyombo is going to get moved down the depth chart, and along with J-Mac is going to get more DNP coaches' decisions. And yes, I love Bismack and J-Mac to death, but again, common sense over personal feelings. Unfortunately, that's just the God honest truth, and that's the realistic expectation from being a Spurs fan if you're going to care about, bench players as well. I mean, the better players at your position are going to get more playing time over you when it's a full-on healthy squad. The only time those two will see any minutes along with Carter Bryant and David is garbage time minutes where we're blowing the other team out. Or hell, just to blow it in general, even when we're on the receiving end. But whether we're on the receiving end or the other team's on the receiving end, that's the only time those dudes will see any major playing time. Garbage time minutes. Sad but true. The Arizona vlog will be out within the next week or two. So it'll be right before the 2-week Thanksgiving festivities. It'll be either out this coming week or sometime next week, but before mine and Emily's anniversary, or in the Fridays or Saturday after mine and Emily's anniversary. I promise you it'll be out right before Thanksgiving and before Winter Wonderland Season 5 starts on December 1st, along with the 2026 Christmas season. So I will see you guys on Monday night for our next game against the Bulls in Chicago. So you're next, Missy Fierro. Have a good, aka Madison Ortiz, on Disney Channel Saturdays. Have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. I will see you all for that next video, whenever that may be. And as always, go Spurs go. See you later, everyone. This has been the Keldon Johnson installment of the new Spurs podcast, let alone the first podcast in channel history called Spurs Roundup. Tune in next time for the De'Aaron Fox installment for whatever Spurs topics we're going to be discussing, or any games we'll be previewing/reviewing, aka recapping. So catch you all in the next episode.
Go, Spurs, go!
This copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.